Hello and welcome everybody to the first video on my new YouTube channel, KryptoKraut. And on this channel we are going to discuss new developments in crypto and also currencies that have a lot of potential, which brings us here. We are looking at Alpaca Finance in this first video, and let's dive right into it. So we're going to launch the app here. That will take us to this dashboard here. You want to make sure that your wallet is connected, otherwise you won't see any of the info that we are looking at here. So what is Alpaca Finance? Alpaca Finance is a platform that allows you to lend out your assets, all of the assets that we are looking at here. And it also allows borrowers to use those assets to participate in leveraged yield farming. If you are familiar with the concept of yield farming, then it does not really introduce a whole different level of complexity to it. The only thing that is really different from usual yield farming is that you can borrow extra funds and deploy those into yield farming to make larger returns as if you were farming without leverage. Of course, this comes with its own set of risks and rewards, but we'll look into that further down the video. So for now, let's talk about the Alpaca token. So the Alpaca token is the governance token of the Alpaca platform and will be used to participate in DAO decisions. This is not a feature that is live yet. Which is a good thing in my opinion. There is really no reason to delegate any decision making to the community in its current stage. The Alpaca team is doing a very great job at coming up with new features, prioritizing which are the ones that will go live first. But it is planned to allow people to take over the protocol at a later stage. And if you want to be a part of the Alpaca DAO or the decision making, you will want to own Alpaca. The more Alpaca you own, the more weight on your vote, the more your vote is weighted. Exactly. And the other thing that you can do with your Alpaca tokens, and that is currently live already, is that you can deploy them in the grazing range. This is the page that we are looking at right now. And essentially what it does is you stake your Alpaca down, and in return, you're receiving another token. So currently there are 3 projects here listed in the grazing range. You can check the APR here. And what is also worth mentioning is that if you stake your Alpaca in these grazing ranges for the full time of 30 days, there are 3 reward tiers that also get you an NFT. So if you stake at least 500 Alpaca in the grazing range for the full duration of 28 days, then you will also receive an Alpaca NFT that you can keep. Maybe they will add utility to it, or you can sell it on a secondary market, preferably for more Alpaca. So this is how it works. The third mechanism about Alpaca is that every week a token burn is conducted. The platform fees that are collected from the users will be used to buy back Alpaca and burn them. Roughly, that is about $50,000 to $100,000 each week. I would anticipate that the numbers keep on rising as the users of the platform, the numbers are still going up despite the bearish sentiment that is happening right now. So that covers what you can do with Alpaca token. Let's look at the features provided here by the platform itself. So here we can look at 2 leveraged yield farming positions I'm holding right now. One would be the Alpaca BUSD pair. Not doing too well right now. I'm sitting at a little bit of a loss here. And as mentioned earlier, since you are using borrowed funds, there is of course a risk of liquidation. My safety buffer here is at 16%. When that drops to 0, my position will be automatically closed. The funds will be sold off to cover the debt, and what is left is returned to me minus a 5% liquidation fee. That liquidation fee is also used towards buying back Alpaca and then burning it. So here you can see the entire range of active pools that allow for leveraged yield farming. Each of those pairs allows you to choose which asset you're borrowing, which is important since you are usually short on the asset that you're borrowing, especially when it exceeds a leverage of 2. For the sake of keeping this video rather short, I'll not really dive into that here, but there is a difference when choosing the asset that you want to borrow. So yeah, you want to make sure to make a good decision here. And also worth mentioning here is a single asset pool, Cake being the first one that is available here. So how this works is you borrow an asset, that asset is sold for Cake, and that Cake is deployed into the single asset Cake farm on PancakeSwap. What Alpaca does is it collects the fees the yield rewards every 30 minutes and sells them off again for Cake. Well, in this case it compounds, but in the case, for example, on Alpaca BUSD here in this pair, what happens is you're receiving Cake. Those Cake are sold every 30 minutes back for Alpaca and BUSD. So your liquidity pool token share is growing all the time, but so is your debt. So ideally you would want to have a positive APR. That is not a problem here. We can see that the Cake rewards are making up 77% APR right now, and the total APR is at 87. What is to take note of here is that the BUSD borrowing reward is 23.09%. So if the borrowing interest exceeds the yield farming and trading fees, you would incur a loss. Now, it might be that the Alpaca rewards are making up for that loss, but I would say it is definitely not ideal. You want your liquidity pool token equity to increase, and you also want to make Alpaca on top of that. That is the ideal scenario. So that is something you want to keep in mind. If the trading fees and yield farming rewards are small enough to get eaten by the borrowing interest, then it is a good sign that you should be on the lending side right now. So what is the Alpaca token and what can you do with it? The first thing that you can do, which is a very cool use case, is that you can stake them in the grazing range. The grazing range basically is a section in the Alpaca platform that allows you to stake down your Alpaca, and in return you'll be getting pretty decent APR on it, paid in another token. Currently there are 3 projects. I know that there are more coming for sure. And you can also receive NFTs if you stake for the entire duration of the pools when they go live, which is usually 28 days. If you are staking down at least 500 Alpaca, then you'll be receiving an NFT. They come in 3 tiers. 500 Alpaca staked gets you a green NFT. 5,000 staked Alpaca gets you a silver NFT. And if you're really balling, then 50,000 staked Alpaca will earn you a golden NFT. Yeah, so pretty neat feature. The other thing that is taking place is that there is a token burn every week. The fees from the platform are partly used to buy back Alpaca, which is raising the price. And those Alpaca are then taken out of circulation forever. They will never ever be tradable again. So we are currently at a very interesting stage where the token burn will very soon exceed the alpaca emission that is paid every block. So when that happens, alpaca will be in a deflationary stage. People can still earn tokens, but they will be outweighed by the token burns, therefore making alpaca deflationary from that stage on. The other thing is that Alpaca will be enabling DAO features. So if you're an Alpaca holder, you will be able to participate in the decision making of the platform. That has been wildly successful with Uniswap and 1inch, where a lot of venture capitals and big whales are competing over who gets the biggest say in the development of the platform. So very cool feature. I'm very excited for it, and I think it could be a very nice value boost to Alpaca. So let's talk about what you can do on the platform. Basically, there are two ways in which you can participate. The first one would be to be a lender. You can see that a lot of people are actually doing this right now. They have over $1 billion in TVL. You can deposit any of the currencies that you're seeing here into a lending pool. The more people lend from that pool, the higher your interest rate goes. So let's have a look how that plays out. So for example, we can see Alpaca is having a utilization of 17% right now. Therefore, the lending APR is, well, very tiny. You're not getting a lot of return for lending Alpaca out, but that is compensated by things we can see here. Let's have a look at a pool with higher utilization. We can see that BNB is currently at 69%, nice, and that the lending APR therefore is 12.6%. When that level reaches 90%, then it starts really skyrocketing. And at a pool utilization of 100%, you will be earning 150% APR on your deposited tokens. Now that is seldomly happening, more so when the platform was new. There was quite a lot of demand for stable coins to be loaned out. Naturally, in a bull market, loaning out stable coins is sought after. And then we saw the APR reaching 100% and even higher for stablecoins such as BUSD, USDT. In a bear market, usually the coins like BNB, BTC, and Ethereum, they are more sought after as they are used to short. Makes sense in a bear market, I guess. Now, you can also, of course, loan these funds. Let's have a look how that works. So here on the farming section, you see all the available farms for which you can borrow funds and do leveraged yield farming. Let's, for example, take the Alpaca BUSD pair here. So you get to choose which currency you borrow, which is important since the currency you're borrowing, you're effectively shorting, and you're long on the other coin in that liquidity pool. So if we were to borrow BUSD, we would be short BUSD and long Alpaca. That is, as long as the leverage is above the factor of 2. For the sake of keeping this video rather short, I'll not dive into the technicals here on what you should borrow, when are you taking a long, when are you taking a short, are you short this asset, are you short that asset. I suggest you drop by in the Telegram channel. They are very helpful, and you also have the chance to look at the emulator sheet in which you can play through certain scenarios, see where you get liquidated, see when you're making money. I highly recommend checking it out. And the last thing I want to point out in this context of what is coming up is that recently Alpaca Finance added 2 more employees. There would be one head of institutional growth. If there is institutional growth coming to Alpaca, that would be immensely huge. I'm not personally aware of institutional players really dabbling in this whole DeFi and yield farming thing. But should that happen, it's going to be a tremendous boost for the whole DeFi space. Um, and also, they added a head of business development. These are the first visible faces of Alpaca. The team is largely anonymous. And yeah, here's a great occasion. They're discussing the Chainlink integration with somebody from the team. So that will happen, I think, tomorrow. Not sure. But yeah, everything is looking as if it is going in a great direction. And I'm very excited to see where the journey is going. I am very, very bullish on the project here in the midterm. Of course, it largely depends on where the big alts are going, and especially where Bitcoin is going. If Bitcoin is going to take a dive here, I don't think that any of the redeeming factors will really be important in the short term for Alpaca. But if the market is at least keeping itself at these levels, then I'm very convinced that Alpaca will do well. And if Bitcoin should turn clearly bullish again, then I'm most convinced it is a very good time to be in Alpaca. So that sums up my first video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave feedback in the comments. This is my first time trying to make a video about cryptocurrency. So please do let me know how you liked it, and I hope to see you around for the next video. Thank you.